Although Odessa did not have a mental illness, the paramedics likely argued that her thought was disturbed due to her hypoglycemic state, a complication which can impair cognition. Capacity, however, is not a fixed state and is subject to change. Upon the paramedics' arrival, Odessa would not have had the neurological capacity to make a sound decision while she was experiencing hypoglycemia. However, after she was administered glucose, her condition improved and she returned to a GCS-15. Therefore, at the time of her refusal, Odessa had capacity to refuse transport to a hospital. Despite the absence of mental illness, is her refusal of further treatment valid? To determine the validity of Odessa's decision, elements of the VICRA assessment must be satisfied. Was her decision voluntary? In Odessa's case, it can be established that her decision was made voluntarily, as no other parties appeared to have influenced or coerced her decision, and she was not affected by therapeutic drugs or alcohol. Was her decision informed? The paramedics provided Odessa with information regarding her condition and the risks and consequences associated with her refusal of transport. However, the extent of her understanding is unknown. Was her decision relevant? Her decision was relevant as Odessa directly refused the specific treatment and transport option which was recommended by the paramedics. She refused based on the fact that she had to run an errand which she deemed more important than the potential outcomes that could manifest due to her refusal. Therefore, she understood the risks. Did she have capacity? Odessa's age becomes relevant when assessing capacity as she is considered a minor under the age of 18. Therefore, it could be argued that she does not have the capacity to refuse treatment without the aid of her parental guardians. However, as she is over 16 years old and only 10 days shy of 18, it can be argued that she does have the capacity to make her own informed decisions regarding her medical treatment. Determining whether Odessa has capacity to make this decision requires the paramedics to determine that she had sufficient understanding, intelligence, and maturity to understand the nature, consequences, and risks of the proposed healthcare and the alternatives, including the consequences of not receiving the healthcare. To determine whether Odessa is intelligent and mature enough to understand both the nature and purpose of the treatment and the associated consequences, Gillick competency must be tested. A minor who is Gillick competent is mature, makes unbiased decisions, and has the ability to weigh the risk and benefit of treatment. As Ezra provided her with education about the condition and the potential consequences, she likely would have sufficient understanding of the treatment and outcomes. Therefore, she would have had the capacity to make an informed decision. Finally, did she receive advice? The paramedics provided Odessa with appropriate information and gave their professional recommendation, and despite this, Odessa still refused transport. As these elements have been satisfied, it can be said that her decision was valid.